made in their homes. Truly home-cooked breads, jams, and other treats, Patty, because California has a new law that went into effect on January 1st that has opened the door for these types of new products to be sold to the public. I think it's pretty cool. So, Patty, you're a home cooker. You can start selling at the market. Well, we spoke with artisan bread maker Mark Stambler of Los Angeles yesterday, who helped get this law written and passed, and we asked Mark what his inspiration was for taking his issue all the way to Sacramento.
Well, it started out as kind of a personal crusade. I was busted by the LA County Health Department in June of 2011 for selling my homemade bread in a couple of local stores. And I thought to myself, this just doesn't seem right, but I had no idea what to do about it. So actually I did what any rational person in my position would have done. I Googled it, and I just sort of said, how can I sell my homemade bread in California? And Google, for one, sort of came up blank, but there was a reference to a cottage food law. And I thought, well, geez, what the heck is a cottage food law? And so I started looking around, and I discovered that cottage food laws were laws that actually were in effect in 18 states that said that, yes, you could actually bake bread or make some other foods at home and sell them. But apparently there was no law like that in California. So then, of course, I Googled California cottage food law, and again, came up with very, very few hits on it. But one actually did pay off. It turned out that there was a group up in the Bay Area called the Sustainable Economies Law Center that was interested in seeing if they could get past have passed a cottage food law here in California. So I called them up and I said, hey, I'm interested in doing this as well. I kind of have this personal angle to it. I got busted by the LA County Health Department, and I want to see if there's some way that I can do this legally. And they said, yeah, well, we're all interested in the same thing. There aren't that many of us here in California who are interested in this because not many people know about it, but let's see what we can do. So the first question that we had for each other is, this is great. What do we do? And we decided, well, we've got to draft a bill, a piece of legislation that would serve as California's cottage food law. And we had no idea how to go about doing this. I remember on the phone talking to them, I said, well, great, do you know how to write a state law?
Right.
And they said, no, we don't know how to. They were lawyers, it's a bunch of lawyers up in the Bay Area. And they said, no, we handle litigation and advice, but we've never written a state law. Have you ever written a state law? I said, no. So we really were at an impasse. We just had no idea how to go about doing this and this is true story. My phone, I was just sitting here at the computer one day thinking about, geez, how are we going to write a state law? When the phone rang, and it was my assemblyman, Mike Gatto, calling. And he said, I've heard about your problems with the health department down here in L.A., and I want to know if there's anything I can do to help. And I said, hey, funny you should call right about now, but we want to write a law. We want to write a state law. And he said, fine, done. I'll be there, and let's work together on this. So he put us in touch with a couple of people in his office, and I want to shout out to John and Taylor. Thank you very much. And they really guided us through this whole process. And we started putting the word out that we needed input on this. We wanted to hear from home bakers who were having problems and wanted to do this same kind of thing that I wanted to do down here in Los Angeles. And we started hearing from people. I mean, we were all kind of shocked. We had no idea that there was this widespread interest in California among home bakers, home food preparers, people who do cakes, cookies, jams, preserves. There's this whole wide swath of people throughout the state who were making food at home and basically just wanted to sell at their local stores and farmers markets, and they were all running up against the same problem. There was just no way to do that in California.
So you got a lot of input together and wrote this bill with your local assemblyman there. And did it get much opposition in Sacramento?
Well, it did, and it got opposition from, as you might expect, the big food retailers and the health departments. They were really skittish about implementing a bill like this because they were afraid that it was going to open up a huge can of worms, so to speak, and really pave the way for home-based food factories. I mean, I remember talking to the man who runs the health department or the environmental health department here in Los Angeles, and he was saying he wouldn't be surprised if people had put in 3 or 4 kitchens in their homes, and were just basically running these things as mills, and and on top of that, I have to say I have a feeling that there was also a bit of skittishness about inspectors coming into home kitchens, because really they'd never done that before. I mean, the closest that they'd ever come to inspecting a home kitchen was in like a bed and breakfast or a farm stay, pardon me. And so they it would be awkward. It would be awkward, and they didn't have any procedures or protocols for it.
So you had to cap it so that there's a limited amount that you could sell?
Yes. Exactly, and this was really at the insistence of the food retailers. They didn't want us to, well, and in a sense, I understood what they were talking about. Look, there are a lot of small entrepreneurs here in California who have gone out and got commercial kitchen space, which is very expensive, by the way, but they were willing to do it so that they could do it legitimately. So the retailers didn't want to have home-based food operators offer them that much competition. But if you think about it, you're really limited by the shelf space you have at home in terms of how much production you can do over the course of a year. And we tried to make that argument with the health officers and the food retailers, but they'd have none of it. They said, no, we have to have a cap of sales cap. So he said, all right, look, if that's what it's going to take to get this passed, okay, we'll agree to it.
What's the cap?
Well, the cap is $35,000 in 2013. 45,000 in 2014, and 50,000. This is gross sales per year in 2015 and beyond.
Okay,
and
that seems reasonable.
We thought that, okay, if you're going to do this, that's pretty. You're right. That's pretty reasonable. They had originally wanted a much, much lower cap, but then we argued, look at the different states, and you'll see that their caps are higher and generally getting higher. Each year they seem to increase them because they don't see a problem with this. Nobody's being run out of business by home-based food producers. And when you think about it, you really are limited by the fact that you have to make this food in a home kitchen.
So, Mark, anyone listening right now who loves to head to their local market or farmer's market or is a baker at home and has some specialties that they make, after January 1st now, they might find more locally produced in-the-home items at their local market, or they could also apply to the market to sell some other things?
Right. I mean, we hope so. Look, I mean, you're hearing this in early January. This thing's just been in effect for a few days now, so it's taking time for it to be implemented in different counties. So some counties are up and going, and I personally have gotten my permit to do this, and I've made my first legal sales here in Los Angeles County, and I'm very proud of that.
Great.
But there are some counties where this isn't even up and running yet. I mean, for instance, in San Francisco and Alameda counties, the health departments haven't got their act together yet in order to, and so people cannot even apply in those two Bay Area counties, and we just don't understand it because there are counties that are have much smaller infrastructure there and fewer people.
Yeah.
Inyo County is up and going. I think Tehama County is up and going. But and Los Angeles County is up and going, so it's huge counties and tiny counties. But San Francisco and Alameda just not yet.
Well, our show can be clearly heard in Alameda County, so hopefully someone will light a fire under the right people and get it going.
We hope so. Look, I mean, there's an awful lot of Facebook traffic about this. I'm hearing from people all over the state in all the different counties. Some are, but the big question mark really is those two counties, San Francisco and Alameda.
Mark, is there a website our listeners could go to sort of see the law and understand it so that they follow the rules correctly? Yes.
The simplest website to go to is just cottagefood.org.
Okay.
Cottagefood.org. Just go there. That's a site maintained by the Sustainable Economies Law Center. And as I say, they're a group of lawyers, so they're very, very punctilious about this.
Excellent. We'll provide a link to that, cottagefood.org. Artisan bread maker Mark Stambler, the man behind California's Homemade Food Act. Thank you so much for joining us this morning on Eat, Drink, Explore Radio. We appreciate it.
My pleasure. Anytime.
Wow. Hats off to him for getting that law written and passed.
They had no idea where to go. How would you ever write it? Then I looked at the bill online, and it's long. I mean, so they really...
Good for him.
Good for him. So, Patty, you're going to start canning and heading down to your local market in Arroyo Grande?
Bring on the barbecue sauce.
She makes great barbecue sauce. All right, we're back in just a moment with travel tips from our good friend Gabe Saglia. 8:44 the time.